Okay, we've started the recording.
Okay. I will share my screen. Okay, hopefully everybody sees my screen. Hi, I'm Kathi Dutton, and I'm here to give you a quick introduction to D2L Creator Plus. This is just going to be a presentation. Tomorrow there will actually be time to learn how to use it. So what is Creator Plus? Is a way to enhance your students' learning by helping you create more engaging courses. There's like 5 parts to it. There's the consistent design and styles, ready-made templates, interactive elements. There's practices that you can set up for students, and then engaging screen recordings. So what we're going to focus on is the design and styles, the interactive elements, and practice tests. We still are going to say that with screen recordings for our campus, the best practice is to continue to use Panopto. If you have something that is really short, 2 minutes, then you could use the engaging screen recording. Because we are in this shared environment, we do have limitations on storage, and video takes up more storage. So just be cognizant of that. Okay, so design and styles. Basically, we're talking about layouts. So you can easily organize your page without knowing how to use any HTML layouts and styles. There's the 2 panels. There's the 2/3, 1/3 panel, 1/3, 2/3, and then 3 equal size panels. And I have examples of each one. Whoops. So this is an example of a 2 panel. You have on this side the text, and over here is an image with a caption. You could do it the other way if you wanted to too. But the student is going to see it like this, and it's going to meet accessibility because it's in this 2 panel layout. The 2/3, 1/3, this is an example where the 2/3 is on the left-hand side. So we have a video, and then we have our text next to it. And then, I guess the 1/3, 2/3 would just be the opposite. So the text would be larger here and the video smaller. And then the 3 panel example is just 3 equal sizes. So you can see that in each of these panels, we have text, an image, a caption, and then more text. So you can really layer these and put lots of things into each of the panels. The one thing though, when you are using this, is you want to still maintain the page size, so there's not a lot of scrolling. So think of that too. And you can also, we're going to talk about, I'm going to show you the elements. You can insert elements into a layout too. So there's lots of ways that we can use this. So for the elements, it allows you to build interactive content, and you don't have to know any coding. So there's the accordions, callouts, carousels, click and review, flip cards, hotspots, stylized quotes, tabs, and timeline. And I'm going to show you a few of these. So first, I'm going to show you some examples of accordions. So you can have accordions that are either numbered or unnumbered. And the accordion, when it's closed up, they're just going to see the name, and then when they expand it, they'll see the content that's in it. And again, you can have images and text. Students would also have the ability to expand all the panels at once, so they could see all the content. So this is a way to reduce space on your page. You can have a denser page without making students scroll, because they can open and close. So this one is numbered, and this example is, there's not a number. And then we can also use tabs. They can be either horizontal or vertical. So where the accordion, they're opening and closing, here they're clicking on the tabs to go across. So you're embedding a tab into your page. And then this is just doing it vertically. So a call out is a box that's going to show information, really make it so students can see it. And there's 4 types of call outs. There's just the standard call out, which has no icon. There's a question call out, attention, and a jumbo call out. So a standard call out, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have the text box around it, this little border, and this color can be changed based on your styling. And then for a question, if you select a question, it's going to have this little icon here with a question mark, and then you can put your information in. So the attention, again, you're going to have this nice icon that is going to grab their attention. And then the jumbo call out this is going to be larger than the other call outs, and it's also going to have the background color that can be changed. So a carousel is basically a mini slideshow that you're embedding into your course pages, and each slide can have an image and a text. And the students have a way of advancing forward or returning to the previous slide. So here's a couple examples. This is the solar system, right? You can go back and forth. And then this example is a math problem, right? So you're going to take the students through the steps one by one on how to do this problem. So practices, these are like little mini quizzes. It allows students to check their prior knowledge, explore new concepts, and evaluate what they've learned. The question types are fill in the blank, multiple choice, multiple select, sequencing, sorting, true, false. So these are practice quizzes, so they're not connected to the grade book. And that's important to remember. They're unlimited, so they can take it as many times as the student wants. So I have actually gone through this very fast. So to get started, we have the workshop tomorrow at 9 to 10:20. And during the workshop, we're really going to work on creating some of these layouts and elements. I think we'll probably focus mostly on the elements and maybe embedding some elements into a layout and creating a practice quiz. And you can just like build on these. So you could have a carousel showing how you do a math problem, and then underneath it you could have a practice so they can see if they really got the concept. There's also self-guided course in the D2L community. You just register for the community, and then you can go through this at your leisure. So this is what I got for you, and I'm opening up for questions. I'll stop sharing.
I have a question, Kathy. So
Yep.
tomorrow, would you recommend we come kind of with like a page created so that we can insert these things into a page, like with an old shell or this upcoming shell? We should have that kind of
Right.
ready.
So my plan is this afternoon is to create some practice courses, some training courses, so everybody will have a training course that they can use.
Okay.
So and I'll let you keep it for a while. I'll let you know when you're going to be removed from it. And if all goes well, I'm also going to have some images and text and stuff, so we can have things to insert. But if you want to come with your own images and some text to go through it, you can do that too. Just bring it on a thumb drive or some way to insert it. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be on campus.
Okay. So do you recommend that we go on campus to take this, or can we do it through Zoom?
You could do it through Zoom. It's probably, it depends how you are, right? Some
Right.
people want to be right there, so if you have a problem, you
Mhm.
know, can come right over and look and see what's going on. I think, I mean, I played with this. I created a game in Creator Plus. And I can show that if you want. I did a little video of it. And it took me a long time. And in it, I incorporated learning how to make flip cards, right? So a flip card is just you can have an image and text on one side, and when the student clicks on it, it flips over on the other side. So you could test their knowledge that way too, right? You know, put a question on one side and then have it flip over with the answer. So there's lots of different ways to build this out. And what the game does is it just took all these elements and they had to go through this to progress through the game. And at the end, they got a little badge. You know, so it was another way to go through and to learn knowledge, kind of the gamification. Mine is extremely juvenile because, you know, that's where I'm at. And I used a guide from somebody who had kind of built one for elementary students. So, Rebecca.
Kathy, is it the case that we just need to be designing all of our Brightspace stuff for students' phones at this point?
Um,
I
lot
worry
of
that when
students-
I design my stuff, I'm always on a screen. I'm always on a screen, which I think you have to do to press all the buttons and make all the arrangements and everything. But then I kind of, like increasingly, I just think the students never see it on a screen sized device. I think they kind of just always do it on their phones.
Right,
you-
a lot of students do. The one thing with Brightspace and even with Creator Plus is it's responsive design. So as the screen size shrinks, it will go into a mobile display, so the menu will go up to the top right, and you don't have to do anything. So it's not like they're going to have to be scrolling way over to the right to see things and scrolling back to the left. It's going to shrink it down. But I think that's when you should be really thinking about how much content you're putting on a page, right? The length of a page, because people don't scroll.
Yeah, like you just can't put a lot of text. I mean, everything is just kind of is it okay to think of it like a slide? Like you just never put too much text on a slide. You never have too much stuff on a slide. And that's kind of the way a page now has to be for the students.
I don't think you have to go that far. I'll let John chime in on that, given his association with Colt. If he's still in the room or did he leave?
He left, but I'll just tell you, you know, way back in the Lotus Notes days of online learning, you know, I had written they were kind of sort of short essays that summarized chapters and went through and embedded examples and things like that. And over the years, you know, I've updated that information. But I have to say, of the different formats I give to students, they seem to really appreciate that one, which you got to scroll, right? It's not a one you have to scroll, but you know, they like them. And in another class, I just kind of went to short videos or just PowerPoints, you know, to complement the text. And they missed them. They said, why don't you have these like you have in the other class? I said, you know, so it was interesting, you know, it was a throwback to a different time of our options teaching online. But I'm surprised at how much that requires the scrolling, unlike a slide. And I'm surprised at how much it's appreciated. It's a 300 level economics course where this happens.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm surprised how much they do appreciate it, and it seems to be their favorite format. So basically I tell them, you know, there's different formats. You don't expect you to read all of this stuff. I expect you to figure out what works best for you, etc. But I guess I'm surprised how popular that old school scrolling thing does. I
Yeah.
was just talking to Sean. I'm glad you brought it up, Rebecca. I was just talking to Sean Moriarty about our students just not bringing laptops anymore and they relying on their phone. He said, no, you know, they do these incoming surveys and, you know, we're at over 90% still with a laptop, Chromebook kind of thing. He goes, but yeah, there's a clear preference to try and do things on your phone. But students deemed to possess laptops. And I would also just note, you know, the library and now the Dean of Students has augmented a laptop loaner if a laptop breaks or something like that. You know, and the library is now allowing a 1-week checkout of laptops, not just like 2 hours on premise or something like that. So, I mean, there is options if you're designing your course and you're afraid that a student doesn't get the full experience because they just don't have a laptop, they do have a lot of options.
Right. And that is true. Most students do have that laptop, but they will come to the help desk with their phone because they're having a problem, right? Or they will come with their laptop, and it all depends, right? You know, we always tell students, don't take quizzes on your phone, even though it's supposed to work that way, because it's just not always reliable, and you want to be able to see things, right? So that's consideration. But when you're designing your pages, you should also think about readability, right? And if an upper level course can be different than a lower level, but for universal design, you want to be thinking about not just having huge blocks of text that go on. You want to be able to give students a way to be able to differentiate between sections. So use some headers or something, you know, something that's going to let them know that there's a transition than just reading. And the thing that with scrolling that I was always taught was that when you're reading a page, you know, you're reading a book, you're reading that chapter, you have the physical pages, so you're flipping them, right? So you know, I have this many pages. When you're scrolling, because you can scroll to the bottom, right? And then all of a sudden it loads more. So you keep scrolling. So that's when it can get very frustrating, when you just don't know how much is going to be there. So if you somehow organize it so they will know at the beginning what the topics are that are going to be covered on that page, then I think that there's an expectation. I think that's the most important thing, is that students have a clear expectation of what they're going to be obtaining on that page in that module.
And there are very few apps that students use on the phone where they don't have to scroll. So I don't think that's really a major issue. You know, unless they're only watching Snapchat, they're going to be scrolling. So.
And then when they are on their phones and they're using Brightspace, are they using this Pulse app, or are they in a web browser on their phones looking at Brightspace?
They do it both ways, but it's better for them to be using a web browser on their phone, a mobile browser.
I've been
instead of
telling them that. I
Pulse
don't
app.
think the Pulse app does. I mean, I haven't worked with it a lot, but when my students have had troubles with my Brightspace sites, it's always been through that Pulse app. And I've taken to just telling them, like, it's in my syllabus. I tell them not to rely on the Pulse app and to use
Right.
the proper web browser. And some of them sort of can't realize the difference, right? You have to
Right.
show them the difference.
Sometimes Pulse app, I don't know if you found that Pulse app actually guides you to say you're gonna have to view this in a browser. The
Oh,
Pulse
It-
app
it
can't do
does,
it.
yeah.
So I get a warning and then I proceed to the browser. Certainly as the instructor and the designer of the course, you get that a lot because you can't do design elements or things like that if I want to check students' grades or something like that. So the Pulse app says we can't do this here. We're going to forward you to a browser.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, the Pulse app is good for setting up notifications, right? So you can, a student can set up notifications that they're going to actually get a text message, right, to their phone when something's been graded or when there's an announcement, because they're not always into their emails. So it's a way for them to be able to get that text message, because we don't have that functionality within Brightspace natively. They have to use the Pulse app to set it up.
To get text messages, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that true? No, you can set it up. I'm sorry. You can set it up. But the Pulse app is a good way to just get information. I shouldn't have said that because I was wrong. I don't ever use the Pulse app.
I don't either. And it turns out all of us are wrong sometimes. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm wrong
Even
more
me.
times than not.
I have been wrong. It's wild.
I have no problem saying that I'm wrong.
30% of the time, I'm wrong every time. Right?
Kathi, thank you for making the sites for us tomorrow, but I do have a sandbox of my own already, so
Okay.
you have to make one for me if that makes your afternoon easier.
Yeah, I'm just going to make just training courses. So, right, you know, they can be reused.
I love my little sandbox. I only just started using it recently, but I really like having it to mess around with, and I don't feel like I'm ruining a course anywhere,
Right.
old or new.
I just make a module that's just not viewable to anybody else, and then I play around with things. And then if I like them, I can move them to where I want them to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, the one thing you don't ever want to do when people do this, and I cringe when they told me that they did that, they go into their, they will go into their spring semester course, make changes there. So, then they copy it into their fall, and it's just like, no. Copy into the fall and then make the changes. You shouldn't go in and change your course after the fact.
Right.
It should be, reflect what the students took.
Yeah, I turned my courses off though,
Yeah.
at some point. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like
So-
a library for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
either.
We do turn off all the courses now, right before the start of the next semester. So right now, the spring and summer courses are still viewable, but fall and winter aren't. And that's because the notification, the little alert thing in Brightspace does not work if you have outstanding work from the previous semester. It
Mhm.
wants you to complete those quizzes. And who in their right mind is going to go and complete a quiz after they've already gotten the grade? So that was something that we learned when we went to our second semester in Brightspace.
I mean, it can also be an issue though when you have incompletes that are going into the fall.
So we have a way to deal with that. So what we do is we actually go through, and anybody who has an incomplete, I get that information from Banner. And we have a very special role for this student incomplete, and then they can still get into the course.
Even if it's turned off for everybody else, or if
Yep.
I have turned it off,
Yep,
because I have one of those this summer. Oh, that's great news. I was just leaving the course open.
you just have to, yeah, just let me know. Because I haven't run that yet. I do it before the start of the semester when I turn it off. But yes, if you have a student that's doing an incomplete and you want the course turned off for everybody else before we do it,
You know, we're okay for the summer, I think. And he's supposed to be done by the time the semester starts, so.
okay. So are there any other questions? Dan or Dennis?
No, all good.
No, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Kath.
Okay, well, maybe I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.